Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the All India Institute of Medical Sciences, New Delhi, we extend a very warm welcome to all of you on this momentous occasion, the 70th Institute Day celebrations. May I request all the dignitaries to please come up on the dais.
Today, we gather not only to celebrate the achievements of the past year, but also to honor the legacy of 7 decades of service, education, and research that has made AIIMS a name synonymous with excellence in healthcare.
We are privileged to welcome our chief guest for today, Professor Vinod Paul, Honorable Member Niti Aayog, Government of India, and former head, Department of Pediatrics, AIIMS, New Delhi. It is an honor for us to have you. We are also deeply honored to have amidst us our esteemed orator for this special day, Professor K. Srinath Reddy. We welcome you, sir. We have the privilege of having our respected director, Professor M. Srinivas amidst us. We extend a warm welcome to Professor Kaushal Verma, Dean Academics, AIIMS, New Delhi. We welcome Professor Rakesh Lodha, Associate Dean Academics, AIIMS, New Delhi. Last but not the least, we welcome Professor Girija Rath, Registrar, AIIMS, New Delhi, on this glorious morning.
I now request our director, Professor M. Srinivas, to felicitate the chief guest, Professor Vinod Paul. Thank you, sir. To commence the formal proceedings, may I now invite our respected director, Professor M. Srinivas, to deliver the welcome address.
Thank you. Namaskar to all of you. Well, I have the honor and privilege of the blessings of our gurus here. Honorable Chief Guest, Professor V.K. Paul, Honorable Member Health, Niti Aayog, Government of India. The AIIMS Golden Jubilee Orator, Professor K. Srinath Reddy, Founder, Past President of Public Health Foundation of India, former Head of the Department of Cardiology from our own institution. Dean Academics, Dean Research, Registrar, Associate Deans, faculty members, esteemed colleagues, distinguished alumni here, students, nurses, staff, and ladies and gentlemen. It's both an honor and privilege to stand before you today as we celebrate the 70th Institute Day of AIIMS New Delhi. This milestone is not merely a marker of time, it's a testament to our enduring commitment for excellence, the Trinity mission, patient care, teaching, research, and of course, we are part and parcel of the policy and advocacy of this country. In addition, we are embarked on the innovations and the services we carry forward. Each year, this occasion invites us to reflect our past, renew our purpose, and reimagine a future of the healthcare and medical education of India and beyond. We are building the nation, not only here, but also through the ministry and the various organizations, policy and advocacy in this country. The topic for today's Golden Jubilee oration, most of you have gone through the exhibition out there, making health research relevant and real world in a complex milieu, which Professor Reddy is going to speak today. And in addition to the lifestyles which we are going to showcase in our exhibition out there, this is the topic which is Golden Jubilee oration is something which is very important for us today. In an era defined by the complexity, diversity, rapid changes which are happening, this year's theme calls us to bridge that gap between the research and the reality, and hence this topic is very apt today, and we have the honor of Professor K. Srinath Reddy today to hear to him, like we used to love as a student and a resident doctor here to listen to him in this auditorium, and today we have the opportunity again to listen to him, sir. At AIIMS, we are committed to translating evidence into action, ensuring that our research not only advances science, but also resonates with the lived experiences and the patients and the caregivers, frontline providers, and all. By embedding relevance, inclusivity, and the caregivers and frontline providers, we are there to take up our Trinity mission of patient care, teaching, learning, and research. And over the past year, AIIMS has continued to redefine the contours of the patient care. We have served 5 million population in our OPD. This is something which is a big number for all of us, and at the same time, the quantity doesn't cut our quality with our institution, and we have admitted more than 3 lakh patients, performed more than 3 lakh surgeries, and many of them are so complex that they have been referred to us from the nooks and corners of the country. These numbers reflect not just the scale, but the trust placed by us by the millions of the people in the country. We are proud to lead the national transformation in healthcare delivery through AI-powered healthcare, in the diagnostic, in the predictive analytics, and of course, we have seen the robotic surgeries which have been established at our set facility. Today, we have the good governance to that extent that if you put the info.aims.edu, the real-time public dashboards are available. That speaks for our commitment for the transparency and the patient care empowerment. And you can also see that our set facility is a wonderful job. Some of them already there in the, on the theme of the exhibition today. And these innovations are not just isolated. They are embedded in a larger vision of our ethical, data-driven, patient-centric care, which we continue to do with our Trinity mission. In the field of medical education, yes, we continue to be the #1 in the NRF rankings. And it's a tribute to our healthy, the activities which we are doing, to our faculty and employees, their dedication, and the brilliance of our senior residents and junior residents and students. Our curriculum now integrates with the diagnostic tools, simulation-based learning, interdisciplinary exposure to prepare future leaders of the medicine. We are not just training the people here, we are making the leaders who will run the medical institutions in our country. In a significant step towards strengthening our academic and clinical capacity, we have advertised for more than 260 faculty members. We are going to continue with our recruitment mission now, and I think in a few months we will be taking care of the entire vacancies which are there at the faculty level. AIIMS has emerged as a national lead institution for healthcare in AI, and we are spreading these consortium of organizations under the Ministry of Education through the Indian Institute of Science, Indian Institute of Technology in Delhi, and more than 15 departments have gone into this bandwagon where the AI is driving AIIMS to be the lead partner for the AI in healthcare technology through the Ministry of Education. On the collaboration, our partnerships with the IITs, other institutes of national importance, other AIIMS, THSTI, and Institute of Ayurveda. That shows our commitment for multidisciplinary research, and international collaborations are continuing to enrich our perspective and expand our impact. A lot of focus has gone through the good governance and transformation. You can see the kind of dashboards which were created. We have allowed the information to be available to the public domain. And today you can see that in-house we have developed IT solutions for the patient services, for the human resources, for the procurement, for the recruitment. All of them are top-notch. Today the recruitment process is driven by the blockchain technology, which is first of its kind in our country. And looking at the national AIIMS Bharat Digital Mission, we are part and parcel of that. We have the record in our country that we have created more than 1 million ABBA IDs and 30 lakh scan and share tokens under the ABDM mission. And we continue to be conscious about our quality, and we can see that our laboratories are NABL accredited, and our hospital, various blocks are going through the NABH accreditation. We are also proud to host the Sahas system for human resource and financial management, where the HR, the procurement, engineering, all the services are integrated. And I was just discussing with the sir that today our administration is on the e-office and we are almost 100% digital. And with the new project which is coming up, we'll be totally digital from the hospital side also. From 6 months to 18 months, our hospital will be entirely paperless, and that will give us opportunity for us to dive through the AI and bring a lot of efficiency in our services which we provide, and help our residents also to do the research without wasting much of the time. We have also launched Santusht as a public feedback and a grievance redressal system. And the vision for the future is to make not just an hospital or a university, but we all know that we are considered the lighthouse of hope, innovation, and entrepreneurship. And of course, our ethics are always there with us, and we continue to be ethically guiding all the students and resident doctors to become leaders in our country. And the future is to expand the new domains and specialties, especially on the AI and in the healthcare, and go to the various digital initiatives which continue to excel us for us, our patient care, teaching, learning, and research experiences, and foster that culture where compassion and competence go hand in hand. Today we have these doyens, our teachers sitting on the dais. The fundamental thing which always they used to tell us that ethical practice, leadership qualities to build the nation, that is something we are continuing to be taking up, sir. We continue to be there, and our faculty, staff, and students, and the support of our partners and the public, AIIMS will continue to shape the future of healthcare, not just in India, but across the world. Let us move forward together with the courage, clarity, compassion, and continue to keep the flag of the institute very high and take it to the world rankings so that we are one amongst those 50 in the world. And with your blessings, sir, and with the teamwork which we have and the collaborations which we continue with other institutions in the country, we are hopeful that we will reach up to that goals. Thank you very much. Jai Hind.
Thank you for your inspiring words, sir.
We now move to the AIIMS Golden Jubilee Oration, an occasion where we are privileged to hear from distinguished leaders in medicine and public health.
To introduce the orator of the day, I warmly invite our Dean, Professor Kaushal Verma.
Thank you. Honorable Chief Guest of today's function, Dr. Paul, whom we call our own Dr. Paul. The orator of the day, Dr. K.S. Reddy. Director, Dr. Srinivas, my colleagues from the academic section, Associate Dean Dr. Lodha, Registrar Dr. Rath, distinguished guests, my colleagues, faculty, students, staff, ladies and gentlemen, it's indeed my profound privilege and honor to welcome you all to this 70th Institute Day celebration. And I consider this special and unique in several ways, and one of this is that we have our own alumni, two people, very eminent, who are gracing the occasion as the chief guest and the orator together. So please give them a big hand. My job now especially is to introduce the orator. The Institute awards the Golden Jubilee oration on the occasion of Institute Day, which is given to a very eminent personality in the field of medicine who has made outstanding contribution. And in the past, of course, eminent people have delivered the oration, and today we have equally eminent, deserving, our own Professor K.S. Reddy, and I have the privilege of introducing him. You all know that, not all, maybe most of you know that he has been associated with the Institute over 50 years now. 51 precisely. He came in '74 and joined residency program in the Department of Medicine, and then did cardiology, and became one of the most celebrated cardiologists in the country. He is also a trained epidemiologist, and he founded the Public Health Foundation of India as the founder president, and remained there for over 15 years, I guess, or longer. He presently serves as the honorary distinguished professor of the same organization. Under his leadership, 5 Indian Institute of Public Health institutions have been established to advance the multidisciplinary education and research in multi-sectoral application. He headed the Department of Cardiology for quite a length of time and was the first one to be awarded Bernard Lawn Visiting Professorship of Global Cardiovascular Health at Harvard University. And presently he is an adjunct professor at the Harvard, Emory, Sydney, and Pennsylvania universities. He is the first Indian to be elected as an international member of US National Academy of Medicine, which is such an honor. He was the president of World Health Foundation in 2013 and 14, and co-chair of Health Thematic Group of UN Sustainable Development Solution Networks. He chaired the high-level experts group on universal health coverage constituted by the Planning Commission of India between 2010 and 11. He is a member of Global Panel on Agriculture and Food Systems for Nutrition, and he has served on several expert bodies of the WHO, Indian and international scientific organizations. He is an advisor on the health to state governments of Odisha and Andhra Pradesh with a cabinet rank. He has nearly 600 publications in the national and international journals and has published 2 books, Make Health in India, Reaching a Billion Plus, and another one is Pulse to Planet, Long Lifeline on Human Health. Among several honors that he received during his brilliant career, some of these are to mention our WHO Director General's Award and Luther Terry Medal of American Cancer Association for outstanding contribution in the global tobacco control, the Queen Elizabeth Medal for Health Promotion, and of course the Padma Bhushan from the Government of India, which is the second highest award granted to the any person by the Government of India. So, ladies and gentlemen, please join me in warmly welcoming Dr. Reddy. And Dr. Reddy today, as Director said, is going to be speaking on making health research relevant and real world in the complex milieu. And I have the honor now to invite Dr. Reddy for the oration. Dr. Reddy, please.
Distinguished leader of India's health policy, and comrade in arms, and dear friend, Professor Vinod Paul, dynamic director of the Alumni Institute of Medical Sciences, Professor Srinivas, other dignitaries on the dais representing the academic leadership of AIIMS, and all the fellow members of my very beloved AIIMS Parivar, as well as the luminaries in the audience and other honored guests. It's indeed a privilege to be back home, and I'm grateful to the AIIMS leadership for having invited me to deliver this lecture. The exhibition that Professor Paul inaugurated today clearly indicates the vigor and vibrancy of the scientific contributions of AIIMS, which are being translated steadily into application for public good. And the vast diversity of those innovations, which are clearly on display, need to be put to good use to help our population move towards Viksit Bharat with greater speed. However, when science has to be translated into policy and programs, there are several challenges which beset us because it's not an easy linear path. It's a fairly complex arena out there. And therefore, my talk would be essentially focusing on some of those complexities that we must address if we really want to put science to better use for public good. Because quite often we find translational barriers between knowledge and product, and between product and its application for betterment of health. And we need to address why such a straight path is often beset with difficulties and diversions, and that's where complexity comes in. And I will be dealing with complexity today in this translational process. I've always believed and stated that science has a social mission. Science is sterile if it lacks a social purpose and must connect with public policy, and public policy in turn will crumble on clay feet if it does not stand on the strong base of sound science. This is what I wrote in the National Medical Journal of India, which I had the privilege to edit while at the All India Institute of Medical Sciences. Science discovers, technology develops, and public health delivers, not only through the health system, which is its principal vehicle, but also by informing and influencing other sectors which are vitally relevant to health and through multisectoral actions. The mission of health systems is quite vast. They are expected to care and cure, prevent poor health, promote and educate about good health. And all these are on quite a good display in the exhibition out there. But we must also recognize that there is a cascade of health determinants. Quite often we focus on the determinants that operate at the individual level, beliefs which are acquired, behaviors which are practiced, and biology which deals with a vast array of gene-environmental interactions. But these are again driven upstream at the level of the family and the community by cultural perceptions, priorities which are socioeconomic. Do I spend more on tobacco or alcohol or on food and education for the family? And pathways of access which are available and affordable. Do I have a smoke-free public place? Are there safe and pleasurable walking areas for community? Are there pedestrian pathways? Are there safe protected cycling lanes? These matter at that level. But even more upstream, we have at the national and global level factors which are driving the downstream factors, which are the stage and speed of development, the distributional issues of equity in multiple dimensions, and the demand and supply issues of trade. And we have seen all this happening over 2 centuries, which have influenced the nature of our health transitions, and where old challenges seem to fade, but new challenges appear. We have seen how industrialization and urbanization have driven the social, economic, commercial, and cultural and environmental determinants, and globalization, which constituted the tailwind of the 20th century, suddenly catapulted us into further public health challenges while aggravating some of those which were pre-existing. So we have seen the non-communicable diseases surge globally, and we are seeing that in India. We are seeing environmental degradation. We're seeing substance abuse. We are seeing growing income inequality. We are seeing pandemic threats. We are seeing conflicts. We are seeing forced migration, whether because of climate or conflict. And we are seeing mass media manipulation with fake news. And while all this is happening, we're also seeing large number of debates proceeding at the societal level as to how to position health and development in the ambit of justice, whether it is social justice, gender justice, race justice, or climate justice. And talking about equity, equity within countries, across countries, intergenerational equity, and equity in global governance, especially with global institutions of multilateralism now under challenge. So while our health system tries its best to cope with these challenges and provide a fairly effective response, we're seeing several challenges now still beginning to confront it. First is increased life expectancy because of aging. Virtually all populations are aging, including our own. While this is a celebration of science and sometimes of social transformation, but it is also posing a challenge in terms of health and well-being. So we see a concomitant rise in chronic illness, multimorbidity, frailty, and we see also technological progress also altering the scenario. And some of this technological progress is very real, like what we have seen outside in the exhibition, and some is imagined. And we see convergence of health and care needs. We see not only health needs, but a lot of care needs, not only for what are generally considered persons with disabilities, but across the life course now, particularly with aging populations. We see a fragmentation of services, mismatches between workforce supply and system demand, mushrooming of regulations and protocols, diminishing public trust in health professionals, and shrinking health budgets. Fortunately, thanks to Dr. Paul, we are not seeing the health budget in India shrinking as much as it is elsewhere. These are unprecedented and interacting challenges. They do not occur in isolation, but they are clustered and they cross-connect. And through research, we must advance knowledge for societal benefit in this very complex milieu. So we must translate knowledge into action, action to impact, and impact with equity. It's not enough if the impact is only benefiting a few sections of society, but we must ensure that there is equity. And for this, we must use research as a very potent instrument. And for the typology of research, we see we can classify research by purpose into exploratory research, elucidatory research, where we look at the causal connections, and we do then implementation research to try and implement effective solutions for the problems we have identified, and then evaluation research to identify how our interventions have worked. And we can also classify it by process as descriptive research, observational research, experimental research, both of which constitute quantitative research. And then we have qualitative research, and that's also very important, not only to understand what is wrong, but why it is wrong, something happening in society. And For this, we have the qualitative and quantitative methods now increasingly coming together through mixed methods research. But what's the purpose of public health research or health research overall? It is to provide evidence-informed, context-relevant, resource-optimizing, culturally adaptive, and equity-promoting recommendations for policy and practice. I'm not saying evidence-based, because evidence-based is often construed to be only clinical trials, but there's a lot of other information that can be obtained, both from observational research as well as from tacit knowledge of communities, which we must tap. And I'm not saying context-specific, because it may be applicable to other similar contexts. So I'm saying context-relevant. I'm not saying resource-sensitive. We must say resource-optimizing, because we must utilize whatever resources are available at the moment, whether it's financial or human resources, and then try and raise the resources further in order to increase our spread and speed of transformation. Then, in terms of culturally compatible, I would say culturally adaptive and equity promoting. In this, evidence and equity are both non-negotiable. So we must also recognize when we talk about the context, that context matters a lot. Information becomes knowledge only when it's placed in context. Without it, we have no way to differentiate the signal from the noise, and our search for the truth might be swamped by false positives. This is what Nate Silver, one of the best persons for predictive capacity, who predicted most of the state-by-state results in the US election, said that context is very important. And this is very clear. As a cardiologist, it became very clear to me that the same stress test result, 2 millimeter horizontal ST segment depression in a 65-year-old male with diabetes who is a smoker, is very different in terms of the probability of having coronary artery disease than a 24-year-old woman with anemia who may land up with a false positive stress test with the same 2 millimeter. And here is a nomogram where you can see that with the same type of stress test result, where the likelihood ratio of the test may be 2, but if you have a very different pretest probability of either 5% or 10% or 30% or 40%, you'll land up with a very totally different post-test probability. Equity is very important too. We have to look at equity in 2 dimensions. One is the horizontal equity and the other is vertical equity. In the context of universal health coverage, for example, when Dr. Paul and others are developing packages for universal health coverage, for progressively expanding Ayushman Bharat in terms of the benefit package, we have to think in terms of services which are available to everybody in society, particularly in primary and secondary care. And this is an essential health package. But we also have to focus on additional services or additional resources for those who have suffered an equity gap in the past and who may still find it difficult to access all the services in the future, even if offered. And that's the vertical equity matters, where you require additional targeted services for disadvantaged or vulnerable people, services beyond the common essential health package. So when we talk about policy and say how policy needs research, we often think that there's a straight line between science, discovery, and demonstration, and policy for scale-up. But it's not such an easy straight line, unfortunately. What enlightened, and most researchers complain, why is it that what we have discovered has not been taken up immediately by the policymakers? Are they having biases? Are they blind? Are they not able to see the truth when published? Well, it's not so easy. You have to put yourself in the policymaker's shoes. Enlightened policy needs scientific credibility, evidence, and rationale provided by biomedical, epidemiological, and clinical research. Financial feasibility. Is it cost-effective? Even if it's cost-effective, is it affordable? Or will one investment in 1 or 2 programs knock the budget out so that other programs will suffer? So this matters too. Then operational stability. Is the health system capable of delivering the intervention? Is it adequately resourced in terms of human resources, financial resources? Is the program steerable, sustainable, scalable? This requires health system research or implementation research. Finally, it also requires political viability. Is there a ready and receptive constituency among the policymakers, among the parliamentarians, among the community representatives? Who are the forces supporting it? Who are the forces opposing it? This requires social science research. Unless you bring all of them into the mix, you will find that policy will not have an immediate uptake. So this again is a complicated area. There are many actors who actually participate in this process. It's not just the academic scientist or the policymaker sitting at the table. You have governments, you have international organizations, you have implementing agencies. Of course, you have the academia, you have the industry on one side, you have the judiciary, you have people making judgments which actually influence policy. You have the non-governmental organizations, both to advocate and to implement. Then you have the media, you have the legislature, and the interactions among them are even more complex. Dr. Srinivas referred to me as a tobacco warrior. Well, let me tell you some of how these interactions take place in that arena. A lady in Kerala who was commuting by bus to her government office protested one day that people are smoking in the bus and the conductor is not taking any action against them when the smoking is impinging on her lungs and irritating her throat. She complained, and an NGO took it up and filed a case. And Justice Narayan Kurup of the Kerala High Court gave a judgment that smoking must be banned in all public transport and, if possible, in all public places in Kerala. Inspired by that, a parliamentarian, Mr. Murli Diora, member of parliament at that time from Mumbai, took up the issue and with Indira Jaising, a prominent lawyer, filed a public interest litigation in the Supreme Court of India, saying, why can't we have a ban on public smoking all across India? That was the time when India was also considering a national legislation for tobacco control, partly because of civil society advocacy, and partly because there was also an international tobacco control treaty under negotiation at the same time, the Framework Convention for Tobacco Control. So the government of India said, hold on, please do not pass a judgment in the Supreme Court. We are bringing forth a legislation, we are still considering it. And Supreme Court said, fine, but please bring a legislation for tobacco control, if possible, for banning public smoking, but also for other tobacco control measures. And that's how, under the very dynamic and dedicated and visionary leadership of Sushma Swaraj, and my fullest tribute to her, she led a very strong Indian tobacco legislation and simultaneously allowed the Indian delegation, of which I was a part, to negotiate a very strong global treaty in Geneva. And our national legislation was launched 1 month before the international treaty was concluded. And these are the interactions that go between science and policy. If we had only spoken of the damage caused by public smoking to people in scientific journals, nothing would have happened. And it is this complex mix of civil society, judiciary, political wisdom, and public support, and all coming together along with international forces in order to bring forth that legislation. Now, epidemiology, which is a principal vehicle for research, is gaining strength. It has excelled in independent attribution of variables to cause and effect while paying attention to interactions. In the era of microbiome and epigenomics, it has transitioned to adopt integrative epidemiology as an investigational platform and life course epidemiology as a field. The interactions between metagenome and superphenotype are being avidly studied. Social epigenomics and environmental epigenomics are burgeoning areas of research and potential application. We're seeing the transformation of the scientific field. However, has epidemiology become adept at studying complexity of interactions between multiple adaptive systems, or is it still sticking to the linear route that cause inevitably leads to an effect? Especially when many of them are rapidly changing, as I said. Has it helped to identify the critical points at which phase transition occurs? Reality is complex and first obeys the non-linear and multi-causal relationships, says an article written by Forde and Rock in Healthcare. Now, if you just wanted to see the veracity of that, just look at COVID-19. A virus comes in, it causes a disease, and we try and find vaccines to control it. But then some countries do it well, some countries do it badly, some states do it well, some states do it badly. Why is this happening? We have seen a tremendous amount of variability in transmission dynamics, droplets and aerosol, viruses and variants, with the virus rapidly evolving multiple variants, vaccines trying to be customized for the emerging variants, drugs, non-pharmacological interventions, policies and practice, international cooperation, again, variable, and behaviors of individuals and groups. Some people accept vaccines and masks, others don't. Others spread false information. And there are a number of unknowns. Complexity did not permit and does not permit purely linear models. And interestingly, preceding the COVID pandemic, there was an article written by 2 Princeton scientists which says all viruses are complex adaptive systems by themselves. And that complex adaptive system of a single RNA virus comes into a complex milieu of a complicated society, and therefore we see all the dimensions of complexity in action during the COVID pandemic. There's no point in saying this government failed or that government failed without considering all these interactions. Now, nutritional epidemiology is another area where we have progressed in our science from a fixation on single nutrients to food items and groups to composite diets, the so-called Mediterranean diet, and of course, the Indo-Mediterranean diet, which is now being demonstrated by AIIMS to be customized and effective in the Indian context. But we have also seen that we are advocating for dietary diversity, but dependent on food systems to provide that dietary diversity. We are also seeing market forces coming in, and we need to control the markets. How do we mold the markets? And for that, we also have to look at global nutritional governance. How are transnational products being transferred in terms of high ultra-processed foods being marketed? How sugar-sweetened beverages being marketed? So we have to look at consumer behavior, industry behavior, and government behavior. Enough of complexity there. So let me omit this slide. Complexity in cancer care is also science-related. So let's look at probability, complexity, and ambiguity affecting the cancer care, which is something that we're all familiar in the clinical milieu. And what causes uncertainty? Firstly, there is science-related uncertainty, which is data-centered in relation to diagnosis, prognosis, causal explanation, and treatment efficacy. Then there are system-related uncertainties in terms of what is the structure of care and what are the processes of care. And there is a person-related uncertainty in terms of what are the psychosocial factors and what are the existential issues that the person is considering whether a person with advanced cancer thinks life is worth living or not. So these are all the issues that are featuring at that level. And all of these come up together in a multi-dimensional manner. You have the scientific uncertainty, you have the system-generated uncertainty, you have the person-generated uncertainty, and these affect all through the whole chain from diagnosis to prognosis to causal explanation to structure of care, process of care, psychosocial and existential factors, and these will affect a variety of other disease-centered areas, like, for example, whether it's the life expectancy, the response to treatment, and many other areas of cancer care. So we have to deal with complexity in each of these areas without thinking of purely that here is a particular causal agent of cancer, this is the diagnostic test, this is the treatment we'll push, and A will automatically lead to B. Human health is also determined by a composite environment, and this is where we are talking about One Health now. If you look at microbes which are all around us in the environment as well as within our body as part of our microbiome, we also see, whether we are talking about nutrition, that nutrition is dependent on soil health, which translates to plant health, and plant health translates into animal health and human health when animals or humans consume the plants. And there are microbes even in the soil, the mycorrhizae, the fungi. All of these interact to decide what kind of nutrition we have. And water quality matters, air quality matters, and now climate change is transforming all of these elements. So again, we cannot draw linear relationships. And therefore, in a world where many complex adaptive systems connect and coalesce, the interface of human health and climate change must be positioned in the construct of One Health. And that's what we are now talking about, One Health being animal health, plant health, human health, and environmental health. As John Muir, a Scottish-American environmentalist said, quote, "When we try to pick out anything by itself, we find it is hitched to everything else in the universe." Amidst this complexity, we must advance knowledge for societal benefit. Knowledge must move to action to impact, and impact with equity. Applying complexity science helps us to move forward despite uncertainty. It complements conventional science. It does not replace conventional science. It complements it, because conventional science, with its strength in basic epidemiological and clinical research, is still very much needed, and this is something that's being advanced by AIIMS so splendidly. But AIIMS needs also to bring in complexity science into its educational process while training students as well as researchers. What are complex systems? They've been defined as co-evolving, multi-layered networks, elements interacting in a system which result in a behavior or an outcome that's more than the sum of its parts. Complex systems are highly composite. They're built from a large number of interacting subunits. Further subunits are often composite in themselves. Their repeated interactions result in rich collective behavior that feeds back into the system, into the behavior of the individual parts. Now, complex systems involve, therefore, many simple parts that are irreducibly intertwined. And the key premises of complexity thinking are that we must understand what they are. A large number of dynamically interacting elements, non-linear interactions. Please remember this, the key word is not a linear interaction. Non-linear interactions, wide diversity of elements, emergence of new variables from the previous interactions of units and subunits. We have seen emergence of new variants in COVID. The virus was not static. It kept coming up with new variants, throwing new challenges at us. And unexpected variability, path dependence, self-organization, resilience. So all these are important elements of a complex adaptive system. In a complex universe, intervention A does not predictably lead to outcome B because there could be influences of other variables and interactions with C and D. But we must also differentiate between complexity and chaos. Chaos theory used to be very, very popular about 2 or 3 decades ago, continues to be so. Complexity is the generation of rich, collective, dynamical behavior from simple interactions between large numbers of subunits. Whereas chaos is the generation of complicated, aperiodic, seemingly random behavior from iteration of a simple rule, but chaotic systems have very few interacting subunits or units, but they interact to produce intricate dynamics. So if you're really trying to differentiate also between what is complex and complicated, then you have to look at this 2 axes. On one axis is the degree of interrelatedness, and the other axis is the number of components. When the number of components are few and the degree of interconnectedness is low, then you have a simple system. Whereas if you have high degree of interrelatedness, you have a relatively complex system. Then if you have many interacting components, but low degree of interrelatedness, you have a complicated system. But if you have a high degree of interrelatedness between multiple components, then you have a complex system. And how do we apply complexity science to solve a health problem? You may say, okay, all this is wonderful, theoretical, but what do you actually do it while dealing with a health system issue? First, understand the system. Take a holistic view. Identify the key components. Map the ecosystem. Second, analyze the system dynamics. Look for non-linear relationships. Identify feedback loops. Feedback loops are absolutely critical. Acknowledge the context. Third, design adaptive interventions. Focus on the whole, not just on the parts. Promote adaptation. Encourage experimentation, and foster collaboration. Then monitor and evaluate. Track the key processes. Observe variation. Look for emergent patterns, because emergent patterns from the previous interactions of units and subunits is likely phenomenon. And learn from experience. We have seen some of this happening in systems biology. Systems biology is an interdisciplinary scientific approach that studies complex biological systems by focusing on the interactions between their components rather than on the individual parts. What does it do? It uses a holistic perspective, integrating experimental data with computational modeling and mathematical analysis from fields like computer science, engineering, physics, and mathematics, to understand how emergent behaviors arise from these complex networks, leading to a deeper understanding of biological phenomena and disease. Why is it that this has not come into epidemiology in a big way? Why is it that it has not come into clinical research in a big way? Why are we still stuck with linear models of A leading to B without looking at C and D? This is where complexity science needs to be built into our medical and health professional education. Because the spectrum of science is reductionist in content, but holistic in context. Understanding the system dynamics of a complex adaptive system requires a range of insights between biology, particularly evolutionary biology, epidemiology, information sciences, anthropology, sociology, psychology, behavioral economics, and management sciences. So an institute like All India Institute of Medical Sciences must provide the platform for the integration of multiple disciplines and promote complexity science not as a curiosity, but as an instrument to solve social problems and health challenges. And this requires training of health researchers in terms of crafting competencies of change makers. Complexity matters, big data from multiple sources. Context matters. We need to train them in Bayesian analytics and models, not just frequent statistics. Comprehension matters, mixed methods research. Caution matters. estimating uncertainty. We have to recognize that we have to live with a certain amount of uncertainty, but estimate it. Communication matters. Clear, coherent, consensus-building communication, if science has to communicate to policymakers and to public. So energizing the community is also important for participatory research, policy advocacy, program design, program delivery, community-based monitoring. So what we really need to aim is for people-partnered public health and digitally enabled, decentralized decision-making at the district or block level for effective implementation. And big data integration is absolutely important. As Edna St. Vincent Millay wrote in a poem, quote, "Upon this gifted age, in its dark hour, rains from the sky a meteoric shower of facts. They lie unquestioned, uncombined, wisdom enough to leach us out of our ill, is daily spun, but there exists no loom to weave it into fabric." So we need to bring all of this big data together and ensure that we can actually build an interdisciplinary tapestry rather than let these individual skeins float around. Will technology enable us to quickly overcome health system challenges? It might, it does, but as Doug Engelbert says, quote, "The capability infrastructure requires the co-evolution of the tool system and the human system." We have to train our health scientists and researchers and the public and others in the health system, from managers to service delivery people, how to use their technologies. Merely salivating over new technologies is not enough. We must ensure those technologies are understood, absorbed, and utilized effectively. And that, again, is the responsibility of institutions like AIIMS. And as Jeffrey Sachs says, epidemiology in the age of sustainable development also must evolve. In an era of profound change and threat, epidemiology stands as the foundation of our public health response, providing the rigorous data, modeling, and analytics to identify and anticipate disease burdens at the population level. Epidemiology itself must become global and systemic, meaning in particular that the big data generated by our information-rich global society should be systematically harvested and harnessed for insights and warning signs regarding public health. He goes on to say, epidemiologists should be trained in the broader dynamics of global systems change to anticipate the roles of climate change, habitat loss, water stress, pollution, lifestyle changes, dietary patterns, and other social determinants of health, including substance misuse, depression, unemployment, forced migration, social exclusion, aging and loneliness, and so forth, in what is likely to be a rapid change of disease burden, including many new and major challenges. And for this, the universities and institutions like AIIMS must play a stellar role. What we need to create are T-shaped individuals. The vertical limb represents in-depth expertise in certain disciplines, whereas the horizontal limb says that you also have to have transdisciplinary thinking and real-world awareness to interact with other disciplines and other systems to understand where we must work together to solve complex problems. And while doing that, we must also repeat to them Louis Pasteur's wise advice to his own young researchers, quote, "Keep your enthusiasm, but let strict verification be its constant companion." To conclude, Stephen Hawking said a few years ago, before his death, "I think the next century, that's the 21st century, he said this in the previous century, in the last decade, will be the century of complexity. We have already discovered the basic laws that govern matter and understand all the normal situations. We don't know how the laws fit together and what happens under extreme conditions, and we saw that during COVID. but I expect we'll find a complete unified theory sometime this century. There is no limit to complexity that we can build using those basic laws. And as Victor Hugo said, quote, "Greater than the march of mighty armies is an idea whose time has come." Ladies and gentlemen, complexity science is an idea whose time has come. Thank you very much for your gracious invitation and for your generous attention. As Simone Weil says, attention is the rarest and purest form of generosity. I'm most grateful for the honor conferred.
Thank you, sir, for your inspiring oration. Now I request our director, Professor M. Srinivas, to felicitate Professor K. Srinath Reddy.
Thank you, sir. We now move to the release of the AIIMS Alumni Directory from 1956 to 2024. Over the last 7 decades, AIIMS has nurtured generations of students who went on to become leaders, pioneers, and change makers in every corner of the globe. Our alumni remain the living testimony to the vision of our founders.
The AIIMS Alumni Directory 1956 to 2024 is not just a compilation of names, but a chronicle of excellence, a bridge connecting the past, present, and future of our institute. It reflects a global footprint of AIIMSonians who have carried the spirit of AIIMS into hospitals, classrooms, labs, and communities worldwide.
As we release this directory, we are reminded of the timeless motto of AIIMS, Sharir Madhyam Khalu Dharma Sadhanam. The body is indeed the means of fulfilling dharma. Our alumni, through their service, scholarship, and compassion, have truly embodied this ideal.
It is therefore with immense pride that we now invite our chief guest and the dignitaries on the dais to kindly release the alumni directory, symbolizing the enduring bond between this great institution and its ever-growing family of alumni.
Thank you, sir.
The next part of the program is indeed very special, recognizing the outstanding achievements of our students, residents, faculty, and nurses.
May I now request our chief guest, Professor Vinod Paul, to kindly present the awards. I would also like to request the awardees to please be ready for the award distribution ceremony. The first prize is Dr. Atma Prakash Medal 2024 for Best MBBS Intern in Surgery, and it goes to Dr. Harsh Jain.
The O.P. Ghai Medal 2024 for Best Senior Resident in the Department of Pediatrics is awarded to Dr. Rohan Grotra.
Dr. N.C. Nayak Medal 2024 in Pathology for the Best Senior Resident goes to Dr. Surbhi Jain.
Professor V. Hingorani Medal 2024 for Best Clinical Resident in Obstetrics and Gynecology is awarded to Dr. Pritika R.M. Can we please have a louder round of applause for the awardees?
Srimati Kirpal Kaur Medal 2024 for Best House Physician is awarded to Dr. Aditya Singh.
The Colonel G.C. Tandon Medal 2024 for Best Senior Resident in Anesthesiology goes to Dr. Mahendran Kuru.
Mrs. Geeta Mittal Medal and Book Prize 2024 for Clinical Research is awarded to Dr. Rachit Sood.
The Dr. H.D. Tandon Medal 2024 in Pathology for the Best Undergraduate Student is awarded to Mr. Gauri Shankar.
Srimati Leelavati Salvan Book Prize 2024 in Obstetrics and Gynecology for the Best Junior Resident for Outstanding Research goes to Dr. Zeba Afreen.
The Professor V. Ramalingaswamy Book Prize 2024 for the Best Intern at the Rural Health Center, Ballabgarh is awarded to Dr. Hardik Gupta.
The AIIMSonians of America Book Prize 2024 for the Best Nurse is awarded to Ms. Neelima Sharad Shingade.
The AIIMSonians of America Book Prize 2024 for the Best Nurse in Community Care Nursing goes to Ms. Denny Mariam Uman.
The AIIMSonians of America Book Prize 2024 for the Best Nurse in Research Work is awarded to Dr. Payal Kahol Hote.
We now have 3 poster awards this year. The third prize is awarded to the Department of Nuclear Magnetic Resonance.
The second prize for the Best Poster Award goes to Dr. Rajendra Prasad Center for Ophthalmic Sciences.
And finally, the first prize, the Best Poster Award, is awarded to Jayaprakash Narayan Apex Trauma Center.
Heartiest congratulations to all the awardees. Your achievements bring pride to our institute and inspiration to your peers. And now, may I take the privilege of inviting our chief guest, Professor Vinod Paul, to address the gathering.
Namaskar. Good afternoon. Most respected Dr. K. Srinath Reddy ji, respected Director Dr. M. Srinivas ji, respected Dean Academics Dr. K. K. Verma ji, Associate Dean Rakesh Lodha ji, Registrar Dr. Girija Rath ji, Dean Dr. C.S. Bal sir, Dean Dr. Nikhil Tandon, my teachers in the audience, faculty of AIIMS, former faculty of AIIMS, AIIMSonians, dear students, residents, my nursing colleagues, and indeed, AIIMS family, I stand here in celebration of the 70 years journey of the All India Institute of Medical Sciences. It's very difficult to come after Dr. Reddy. Srinath has presented a visionary oration to all of us. And I'm sure his words and his foresight would have ignited minds in this audience and those who are watching and will watch his oration on YouTube and so on. Just as he ignited my mind way back in 78 in D2 ward, in the rounds of our esteemed teachers, Dr. Guleria, Dr. Bajaj, 4 years hence, and I would stand in that large gathering of 30 people in awe of his knowledge and his understanding, because he had answer to every question that Dr. Bajaj would ask. I'm sure it would have motivated some of us in the discipline of clinical epidemiology, the science of clinical research, science of epidemiological research, and science of public health research that he emulated, perhaps more than anybody in this nation in recent times, just as he did this for me when there were opportunities led by Dr. Sneh Bhargav and Dr. Nath to develop the ecosystem capacity for such research, of which I'm a humble beneficiary. Thank you, sir. And of course, I hope his talk will also inspire some of us, or many of us, in public health, policy thinking, as well as impact on scale. How do you do it as a doctor, as a physician scientist, as a faculty and a scientist at AIIMS, just as he did this for me through the course of his own journey and through the course of my interactions and opportunities that he provided me through high-level expert group initiative of the Government of India and the Lancet, India Lancet series. I'm grateful to you, Dr. Reddy, for being a mentor, for my teacher, and of course, friend, philosopher, and guide. Please, a big hand to this legend. Dr. Reddy, benefited by the stature of AIIMS, has impacted national health, global health. He is a global health icon of India. We're very proud of you, sir. Thank you for being here. I wish to congratulate the director and the AIIMS family for new milestones, for a very vibrant exhibition, very vibrant achievements in recent times that you highlighted, and thank you for making us proud in this journey of seeing our great institute from one level to another, making that effort and leading from the front. So happy Institute Day to all of you. For me, it is an emotional moment. I'm a student of AIIMS. I came here from a very good government school in 1972. And in the Institute Day, 50 years ago, exactly 50 years ago, from this first time, I stood here with a podium like this in 1975, 25th September, as a student union representative. And there were some stressful times at that time, and the theme that reverberated this hall at that time was bonding of AIIMS family, faculty-student relationship, nurturing the minds of young students, and building on the achievements of our role models to take it forward for the Institute and take forward the ethos and the values and excellence beyond the borders. That was the theme in a very special phase in our history. I was, as you can see, low BMI, Dr. Reddy. I had borrowed this blazer from a 2-year senior friend of mine, Dr. Shailendra Bhasin. He's at Harvard, as you know. And I represented, of course, the students, but also in particular my own batch of 72, the 17th batch. And today I greet you on this Institute Day, in addition to every other capacity, as one of the 1972 batch AIIMSonian. So thank you for this opportunity. It is truly, truly special to me, absolutely special. Thank you. Thank you indeed. 50 years. Thank you. I now wish to pay my very humble tribute on behalf of today's AIIMS family and all the members of the AIIMS family, ever since its inception, to a very special person, a leader. And that leader is Anuji. Rajkumari Amrit Kaur, the mother of the All India Institute of Medical Sciences. Rajkumari Amrit Kaur was the first Health Minister of India and the first woman cabinet minister. She belonged to a royal family. She was for 16 years the private secretary to Father of the Nation, Mahatma Gandhi, 16 years of her life. She was seen as a progressive, visionary leader, freedom fighter, of course, but also somebody who championed the cause of women's development and women's participation. She was on the Times front page as a woman, the world's woman of the year, 1947. We owe a lot of what has happened here from the start to her vision, to her foresight, and to her leadership. And as you can see her with Mahatma Gandhi. On the top panel and the lower panel, she is seen here with him at Manorville in Shimla, which was her private home. And you may like to know that she donated this to All India Institute of Medical Sciences. It is our guest house there. And this is the place where Mahatma Gandhi, between 1936 and 1946, stayed many a time as her guest. This is where he would stay. He would not take the hospitality of the British. And today it is, it belongs to us. And I'm so very proud that there is a lasting legacy of this great leader, great lady who laid the foundation and the vision of the All India Institute of Medical Sciences. Foundation days are about thanking those visionaries who created institutions, who created opportunities to people like us, and for the nation, and for the patient, and so on. So I salute on behalf of all of us as very grateful beneficiaries and inspired individuals of this great, great leader. Our directors in the past, our faculty, the founding faculty and the faculty who followed the founding faculty have taken the institute to exceptional heights. Above all, they created and they help us create what is known as AIIMS culture. Even today, AIIMS culture is a currency. And that culture, which we must continue to improve upon, refine, strengthen, enhance, is our biggest dharohar, our biggest treasure. From outside, what people talk is why we are different, why our performances are different. And it's really, when you go deeply into it, that complex system which makes it possible is an abstract entity called AIIMS culture. If I want to define this, and I did a mini survey at some point to ask people, what do we mean by AIIMS culture? What I heard was something like this. We don't consider our participation here as faculty, as students, as nurses, as administrators, as a 9-to-5 job. So that distinguishes us from many, many, many institutions and organizations. 9 से 5 तो है ही नहीं. Second, I heard, we start early. Our first patient in the OT is at 8:15. Teaching starts at 8 o'clock. Earliest part of the rounding starts at 8 o'clock. By the way, there is no time to go home or to wind it up. It's only the beginning that we have a time, typically around 8 o'clock or 7:30 to 8. But when do we go home? And that is the third characteristic. We go home when the job is done for the day. When my patients have stabilized and I have handed over. One of the respondents said, and he said, okay, मैं ये बताता हूँ, डॉक्टर वेणुगोपाल क्या करते थे? तो उन्होंने कहा कि एम्स कल्चर का एक स्ट्रैंड है कि वो 11:30 फ़ोन कर रहे हैं कि अच्छा मैं अब सो जाऊँ अगर स्टेबल हो गया है आईसीयू, या आके देख जाऊँ. That's AIIMS culture. That's AIIMS culture. यही हमें दिखाता है दुनिया में. मैं ये कहना चाहता हूँ. आज स्पेशल डे और नवरात्रि भी है, चौथा दिन. उसी का अगला ट्रांसलेशन है, AIIMS culture is about, there are journalists here, AIIMS culture is about the senior most professor, senior most surgeon, senior most gynecologist operating and coming to see the patient at 3:30 in the morning. Not because that patient is a Farishi, but because the patient needs that level of care and decision and surgery and procedure. And the resident on duty wants that help at that very moment. It happens. That's AIIMS culture. That's what we learned from our role models, and hope we contributed a bit as we practiced it. And we hope that we will continue to strengthen and take it to the next level in changing times. AIIMS culture is also about students always having access to the teacher. Residents, कभी भी आइए, दरवाज़ा खुला है, घर में भी आइए, थीसिस के लिए मदद करेंगे. Dr. Ramalinga Swami used to say, my doors are always open for my students. हमेशा आइए. एक कल्चर इस तरह का हमेशा हरा से रहा है. And AIIMS culture is about pushing the frontiers of science. Culture of science that pervades here as a medical institution has been unique. And I want to say culture of science in particular, and I want to start with that, of our basic sciences, paraclinical sciences, and of course clinical sciences. We live together, and public health sciences. So this melting pot of sciences is the culture of AIIMS. Not easy to establish in institutions. It takes a while, and that distinguishes us apart. So I salute the culture of AIIMS. We have attained huge heights, absolutely no doubt about it. And I believe now, from, in a way, insider, outsider, that we are at an inflection point. We have competition. We have higher expectations of the people, technological advances, including AI, and so on and so forth. And then, of course, several aspects of how the learning, how the attitudes of students, residents are changing, the teams are changing, expectations are being different. We are at an inflection point. And I think from here, I submit humbly that keep the North Star of 1947 in front of you. You have done it, but I want to emphasize that on this 70th Institute Day, let us recognize that North Star. The Honorable Prime Minister has given us a vision to reach the stage of us being a Viksit Bharat, Viksit nation. And Viksit nation is about institutions that are global in stature, compete with the very best. And it's about creating a paradigm of services that the society today expects today and will expect more. So I think, and I believe, and I urge that we introspect on how we now position from here. Every Institute Day, every Foundation Day is about looking toward past, but looking into future as well. And therefore, I urge that we think about how we now take this very rapidly rising trajectory to another level. And there should be churning around this. Because as I said, I believe we are at an inflection point. Look at our achievements. Our achievements, NIRF ranking 1 in medical institutions, 8 among all the universities, IITs and so on. They don't have service component, still we compete with them. And consistently, a big hand for that. The IITs and IIScs of the world and the universities, they don't look after 500,000 patients every year. By the way, that is 1.2 times the population of entire Norway, just to tell you one way of putting it, how big the work that we do. And still we compete with them. And I believe we have a potential to jump to third position, or quite possible. Look at the QS Medical Universities ranking in medicine. which of course I think is a good benchmark to look at. We are 145 against thousands of global universities, and we are improving in our own way. Look at the Newsweek Best Hospital ranking. We are now under 100 for the first time. Congratulations. And I think that calls for an applause on this very special day. And we also heard about a new recent ranking system, which I hadn't heard about, the AIIMS ranking system, where AIIMS is #1 in the nation, 22nd in medical systems, at 22nd in Asia, but there are interesting other bits of news that you may have heard. Neurosurgery, first in India, second in Asia, 11th in the world. A big hand to neurosurgery. Pediatrics, first in India, second in Asia, 32nd in the world. Ophthalmology, first in India, second in Asia, 34th in the world, and there are others. These are great achievements. They should inspire. And by the way, the last one, edu rank, is essentially research, and that research is competitive. Research is global. Research is everywhere. We can contextualize research, but we contextualize so much more of clinical care. But here it is an open competition, and we do so very well. I believe that we should set our goals as follows. Sir, building on what you said now, Director Sir. Here is the proposal I make on the 70th Institute Day, the 70th Foundation Day, as a tribute to our visionary leaders, the political as well as institutional leaders. I propose and I submit that we aim to be within top 25 institutions by QS ranking by 2047. 25. Today we have 145. I submit that we aim to be in top 25 institutions by Newsweek ranking. That's hospital. Today we are 97. Sometimes you may think, or I may think, that 47 hai, theek hai, 22 saal hai. But there are no other goals here. 10 years from now, 2035, for which all of us will have to work. We would like to be in the first 50 for QS ranking and first 50 for Newsweek ranking. That's, I propose that we embrace this target and create a strategy, dear faculty in particular, how to reach there, because you are the leader, you are the powerhouse where all other parts of the system, other players of the system of this great institute will come. And that's my first humble submission. Targeting to below 25 by QS ranking, by Newsweek ranking, global ranking system. NIRF, we are doing well. We must make sure that we remain there. And in overall compared to other universities, we move to maybe the 4th place or 3rd place. And the intermediate goal is more important. That would mean that we have to start working today. 10 years, 2035. 75th, I guess it'll be the Institute Day at that time. 50, within 50 is our goal, and that's what I suggest as my first input to you. Quickly now, I will make 5 suggestions. Research. Research is the most important visibility marker of of any medical university, and that's what we are. We are not a hospital. We are a great medical university which has a super great hospital. Sometimes we are seen only as a hospital. No, we are a medical university. And research, therefore, is very special to us. Quick suggestions here. And of course, we have done well. We have more than 2,400 publications. We have an extramural budget of 280 crore, and so on. So we've done well. We have more than 60 individuals who are in the top 2% Stanford ranking from time to time, more than 60, I believe. So first input, this is coming also from our discussion with Dean Research and others, collaborate within AIIMS for big ticket ideas. अलग-अलग मत करो, बड़े impact के लिए इकट्ठे होके करो, intramural system से और extramural से. Cell and gene therapy cannot be done by one department or one team. Even anemia problem cannot be cracked by one particular department. मैं दो ideas तो यही दे रहा हूँ. 1/3 of the time or 40% of the time, we don't know why anemia occurs in our population. Half of women, even in this hall, are anemic. And one out of that half, one out of four, have anemia which is moderate or severe. Why? Can we not address it? The commonest disorder of this country is anemia. We have made no progress. So please work on big ticket ideas, but work connectedly. And of course, create such collaborative coalitions outside as well. But within AIIMS, can we be team? And we crack systematically 10 ideas in the next 10 years. Increase PhD intake to 200 per year. Work on drug discovery, biophysics department, pharmacology, biochemistry. Please join your hands. Drug discovery, use AI tools to do the drug discovery. Don't let other people lead us. Industry will always be behind us. Academia will take lead. Someday industry will perhaps come up because they are mostly on the manufacturing side. We need to do it, and that's how it happens in the world. Focus on technologies as an example, because technologies are also research output, public goods that come out from academic institutions with partners, of course. We need for the primary care system a great non-invasive hemoglobinometer. We don't have it. We need a hemoglobin A1C point of care diagnostic, AI or without AI, which we can use in primary care system now that we are diagnosing and screening diabetes to know their control. Random sugar, I don't think is a great tool. We need a point of care diagnostic for creatinine to pick up early chronic renal failure, chronic kidney disease. We need a marker for primary care, point of care marker for fatty liver and chronic liver disease. We don't have it today. We need a marker, we need a remote technology to do refractive error for school children. Every year, we don't have optometrists. Every year, 10 to 12, every year, 25 crore school children need eye check, just as children of our families receive their eye check somewhere, because वो सब बदलता है और 10% को ऐनक लगनी चाहिए. ये नहीं हो पा रहा है. Can we have a remote technology to do so? Can we have fetal monitoring remotely so that a woman who is at high risk, and today that number the focus is really high risk, because you've done very well with non-high risk situations, which she can wear at home, and at the earliest issue, we can transport her for care. So fetal monitoring remotely, and so on. These are just a few examples. But this is the kind of things that India needs. Can we work together within and outside the institution ecosystem to crack some of these difficult problems? I would like to see more students taking part in research. We have now 600 students, undergraduate students, I guess. I would expect and I request, because create that workforce ignited by research, as you heard from Dr. Reddy, the importance of as a driver for change and better health care. हमें उनको अपने फोल्ड में लेना. हम 800 फैकल्टी हैं. क्या हम उनके 1 क्वार्टर को, आधों को एक मौका दें, वहाँ से इग्नाइट करें ये थॉट, ताकि जब वो जहाँ भी जाएं वो अलग स्टूडेंट हों, जैसे कि हमेशा ही रहे हैं, लेकिन वो research will be a major driver of Viksit Bharat in general. Science, technology, research, innovation, उसके बिना विकसित नहीं होते हैं देश. Nursing research needs a fillip, and so on and so forth. And of course, you have seen a rising availability of ICMR funding, which has reached 1,200 crore for extramural system. There'll be many other ideas, but this is one submission to all of us. My second submission on education. We were originally crafted for experiments in medical education and post-graduation education in particular. That's our charter. That's a vision of the Honorable Rajkumari Amrit Kaurji. We were innovating education, so community-based learning through internship in rural areas, we gave to the nation from the very first batch, and then the nation followed. Community-based learning in the middle years again came from here, and so on and so forth. Time has come to look at undergraduate nursing and medical curriculum, which takes us further than the current curricula, including AIIMS curriculum, but also including the NMC curriculum, competency, building on that, building on the competency-based curriculum. Can we craft a new curriculum which will drive our medical education 2030 onwards? Which will, obviously new things have happened since the 2018 competency-based curriculum in NMC for the nation. What is the next level of curriculum? What is the next shape of the curriculum? What is the next ingredients of undergraduate training of nurses as well as doctors? Please think about it. You have CMAT, led by very able people. लेकिन उसको बनाइए, बहुत कुछ बदल गया है. I don't want to list in the interest of time, I'm already exceeding my time. बहुत कुछ बदल गया, pedagogy बदल गई है, assessment बदल गई है, expectations बदल गए हैं, आगे कैसे सीखना है वो बदल गया है, आगे करना क्या है वो बदल गया है. So please, can we think about the next curriculum? It's our job. Experiments in medicine. New curriculum, apply it, demonstrate why it is better, and give it to the world, give it to the nation. And embrace within that community orientation, ethics, communication, humanities, and of course, all the other aspects. My second ask here is we must start family medicine program. Family medicine MD program is much awaited. And I'll tell you the reason here, because I hope it will be heard by others. The way we are moving right now, we are increasing our postgraduate courses like the way it should be increased, because we need in every sphere more specialists, no doubt. We need more specialists, and the gaps are huge. Huge gaps are there. Name any specialty. I can share numbers, but maybe some other day. But what would happen is that we will have specialists, and then we have graduate. And the graduate component would shrink. Where is the space for a holistic doctor? Today's MBBS, all of us know it, we give a lot of competencies. But to say that she or he can deliver the entire, from neonate to geriatric, major disorders and diseases and chronic diseases now, because that needs a different way of doing things, that's not happening. Acute care competencies could be given in the older times, because you could do something today and see the result in 3 days. But in order to get the right competencies for diabetes, even at the first and the second level, I would say, leave the tertiary level, you need to follow individuals. You need to follow patients. Where in the program today's MBBS curriculum allows that, NMC or AIIMS curriculum? Because our postings are 4 weeks posting, 3 weeks posting, and you teach hell of a lot. Where is the continuum of care and the continuity of care? And therefore, you need to create more time, and that's what the rest of the world has done. They have a GP training, which takes 11 years to become GP, 6.5 MBBS, and then another 4.5 years or so. Family medicine, likewise, 10 to 11 years in other nations. If we don't bring in family medicine, then we're looking at a scenario where there are specialists and no general care. How will you? This is not cost effective. This is not the right way. This is not the way primary health care, even for the elite, is to be delivered. So I urge that we become a model for family medicine and create that program sooner than later. And that's my request. WHO says 30% of physicians in any nation should be family physicians, general practitioners. We have a huge difficulty. You'll be surprised that the total intake for family medicine program in the country is less than 30 seats per annum out of the 75,000 PG seats. I want you to think about it and actually influence the leadership of medical education, because once it is not a primary condition for opening a medical college right now, and that regulatory change must happen. And when you don't have this as an essential criteria for a medical college, then when the medical college is mature to do postgraduate program, they would do other specialties, and they will do super specialty cardiology, but they will not think of family medicine. Great, we need cardiologists, neurologists, neonatologists, but there is a gap. I want us to be conscious of that. This is a very major challenge, and this is enshrined in the NMC Act, That is the will of the parliament that promote and facilitate family medicine programs. It is the will of the parliament, it is a policy of the nation, it is a global policy, and we need to rise to take lead in this regard, and that's my request to you. My third point relates to what Dr. Srinivasji has shared with you, the digital health issue. I'm so happy that we have a new resource which will take the digital care to the next level. On a 5-point ladder of digital health in our institution, we are at about third level. We need to scale 2 more levels to be as digitally enabled as the best systems in the world are. And I would suggest, and that's actually a communication to the administration side to begin with, that let's do this in 2 years' time, and I think we are doable within the money that you got, sir. But the timeline is 15th August 2027. We reach the 5th level of a digital health ladder, and that's, all of us must collaborate, all of us must move toward EHR, must move toward paperless hospital, paperless research system, paperless academics, paperless offices, and so on. More discussion some other day. But the second part is even more important. AI for health. We are in the leadership position. But I belong to an institution, Niti Aayog, where Frontier Technology Hub for Policy has been created. We are now watching how rapidly things are changing in this space. And what is being said is that AI is the most important potential mover of economy for India in the next 10 years and beyond. AI is about 3 things: creation of AI, and that will apply to health. The testing of AI tools applies to us. That's my second ask. And the third ask is more spontaneous: adopt and adapt and scale. People who will make the best use of AI are actually not going to be necessarily those who create AI, but the ones who use AI. So please get together. Every week the situation is changing. And someday we should have a longer discourse on this. I'm mindful of your time. But I want to bring urgency to this discourse. Random efforts, single individual driven efforts, or even small group driven efforts, little app here, a little solution. No. If AI for health solutions have to happen, they will happen here. We are the most ready in this regard. And this 280 crore grant is actually, I would say it is actually the best use of this will be that we have the opportunity to be a leader, global leader for AI and health. अब प्लीज इसको ज़्यादा अर्जेंसी से लीजिए, अलग सोचना पड़ेगा. हम अभी जो 1x एफर्ट कर रहे हैं, ये 50x एफर्ट होगा, तब लीडरशिप बनेगी, नहीं तो छूट जाएगा. कहाँ करें? Where is the other system where this can happen? You tell me. A history of 70 years, 500,000 patients every year, admissions, complex surgeries, medical education, nursing education, logistics. ये सारा और कहीं नहीं है. Please take it differently. This will slip out of our hands. And we will, so I urge you on 3 areas. 1, yes, create new AI tools, strong potential, with partnerships, but a huge program, AIIMS-wide program. This is not an individual program or a department program or even a small department cluster program. It's an AIIMS-wide program. We are 800 faculty, 60 odd departments. Second, test AI tools, because the test beds are not there. People make claims, but the ones which look like genuine and promising, please test them. Because there are no places where you get claims after somebody tests in 200 patients. Breast cancer, yes, it detects. What is the cost of missing 1 out of 10? That patient will come back with a bigger tumor and the life is lost. ऐसे जो बहुत सारे क्लेम्स हो रहे हैं, इसकी वैलिडेशन जो इंडिया में बन रहे हैं, उसकी वैलिडेशन का आप टेस्ट बेड्स बनाइए, सैंड बॉक्सेस बनाइए, करिए. ये देश के लिए है, क्योंकि किसी ने बनाया वो देश में बन के देश में यूज़ होगा और बाहर जाएगा. कहाँ टेस्ट करें? Let's make that ecosystem. Let's join hands with ICMR. Let's join hands with MIT, with Niti, with others, with IITs, with whoever else, with the industry, ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा बना के टेस्ट करने में मदद करिए. And सबसे important, अडॉप्ट करो, अडेप्ट करो, अडेप्ट करो, अडॉप्ट करो, और स्केल करो, और दिखाइए यूज़ कैसे होगा, because that would mean better efficiencies, better performance as an institution, better research, better education, better clinical care, and better models of clinical care for other institutions, other people, other institutions, other organizations, and state government. So please, there is an urgent call, and I want to also mention here that one dimension which is not getting attention in AI is the use of AI in public health. Public health in surveillance, where are the tools? Who will make these tools? AIIMS बनाएगा या NCDC बनाएगा या ICMR बनाएगा? तो ही मिलके बनाओ, अकेले ही बनाओ. Surveillance, disease modeling, personalized, shall we say, personalized or precision public health, early warning, epidemiological modeling, healthcare planning, healthcare supply chain management. Public health and AI is not visible to people. Clinical AI tools to an extent. And then, of course, there are a whole lot of apps in the prevention space, this way or that way. Use them. But public health mein hum hi ko karna hoga. And I'm sure, Dr. Reddy, your guidance in to foresee this. Please take my word for it. We are losing time. एक दिन भी इसमें मत खराब करो आप. This is the biggest disruption that India has, the world has, and India has. This is an opportunity for Viksit Bharat. If you use it, we create it, use the data sets, use the huge data set that we have, should be for public good. Not only what we will create here, but what the other players in the country can create. And that digital jump that you're getting will make the data available in a shape that it can be used. Mega data centers are required and you can do it. Think of quantum, by the way. Quantum, aaj baat hi nahi ho rahi. Quantum technologies for health. Drug discovery. Please इसके ऊपर लग जाइएगा, तभी हमारी ग्लोरी है, नहीं तो हम यूज़र होंगे. पैसे से दे जाएगा कोई, हम यूज़ करेंगे. बहुत सीरियस बात है ये. Thank you so much. And please, please, please take my word. India, if India does not master AI, India will lag behind. If we don't master AI for health, we will be laggards. Thank you. My fourth, now there are two other takes, but they are easy. One is on public health. And here my request is, okay, history. We were the first institution which created a system in the community in Ballabgarh. हमने वहाँ एक प्राइमरी हेल्थ सेंटर बनाया 60 में. और जो ये थिंकिंग है पब्लिक हेल्थ की एम्स के लिए, दिस इज इन आवर DNA. भोर कमेटी ने 46 में कहा कि ऑल इंडिया मेडिकल इंस्टीट्यूट बनना चाहिए. ऑल इंडिया इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ मेडिकल साइंसेज नाम बाद में आया. ऑल इंडिया AI मेडिकल इंस्टीट्यूट बना. ये भोर कमेटी में 46 में आया. उसी को लेके लीडरशिप ने आगे बढ़ाया. तो उस टाइम पे लगा कि क्या मॉडल होना चाहिए. देन the teams from here, very eminent people, including C.G. Pandit, they went to multiple countries to see the model. And what they liked was the model of Johns Hopkins, because, among other things, education, but also the public health connect. And from there, I believe, largely from what I read and what I hear, we created this great community system in 1960. 60 में कोई मेडिकल कॉलेज का नहीं होता था कभी. बाद में जाके लोगों ने बनाया. हम नहीं इसको लोगों को बाकी इंस्टीट्यूशंस को दिया. और जैसा हमारा है कभी भी नहीं बना. In the mid-70s, this concept was enlarged, 73, 74, and I'm witness to that. And I want to share it. उसमें क्या करा गया कि उसको Comprehensive Rural Health Services Project का नाम दिया गया, CRHSP. और थिंकिंग क्या थी वहाँ पे, क्या था बल्लभगढ़, और 2 PSCs होते थे, हैं अभी भी हैं. सोच ये दी गई, प्लीज़ फैकल्टी बेयर विद मी, सोच ये दी गई कि ये सिर्फ कम्युनिटी मेडिसिन डिपार्टमेंट का काम नहीं है कि कम्युनिटी हेल्थ या रूरल हेल्थ या पब्लिक हेल्थ हो. सोच उस टाइम पे ये थी, एवरी डिपार्टमेंट, एवरी डिसिप्लिन हैज़ अ पब्लिक हेल्थ डायमेंशन. एंड आई हर्ड डॉक्टर रामलिंग स्वामी फ्रॉम दिस पोडियम हियर. उसके पीछे सोच क्या है? How is there public health dimension of cardiac care? तो वो कहते थे सबका है, और वो ऑड लगती थी बात. कैंसर का भी है, उस टाइम पे ऑड लगता था, लेकिन the leadership said all of these disciplines, every health and medical discipline has a public health dimension, has a preventive dimension, has a community dimension, and then we created CRHSP, which had community medicine department in the center and all the departments owning up this for their research, for education, for exposure, for immersion. That's how we came up. Why we could contribute to public health, people like me, because I got that opportunity in Ballabgarh. As a student, we used to believe एक AIIMS है, एक Ballabgarh. It was so important in our psyche. अरे वो ऐसे बराबर ही सोचते थे शायद कि एक वो है, एक ये है. I want us to please look at this model again. Over a period of time, Community Medicine Department, Center for Community Medicine have done great work, absolutely great work. I salute the department. However, our utilization of that ecosystem, and you can have many more, you can have whole district to yourself, you can have state to yourself, you can have another 30 Ayushman Arogya Mandirs to yourself. But then this system, I think the connect with the other systems has weakened. Please reposition it. This is an immersion opportunity for students or faculty. Dr. Nande would go and teach us there. सर्जरी पढ़ाने क्यों वहाँ जाते थे? कॉन्टेक्स्ट होता था, वो साथ जाते. कुछ चीज़ें हमें जो मिली और हमने उसको फ़ायदा लिया, उसको यूज़ कर पाए. मैं humbly सबमिट करना चाहता हूँ, ये public health and community and family and community at large and people and the citizens, ये उस सिस्टम से हमें मिला है, बहुतों को मिला है, and I am beneficiary of that. I have probably spent a year in different phases out there. I salute Dr. Nath, Dr. Ramalinga Swami, and the thinkers who made it happen. I want you to please reposition the role of such hub, the Ballabgarh hub and more, to be an integral part of our ecosystem, science ecosystem, public ecosystem, education ecosystem, and clinical ecosystem. Even in the clinical, I think seamless referral systems are still perhaps not optimal. Are we connected through tele-education? Are we connected through system, other systems? मेरा humble submission होगा कि इसको आप please submit करिए. And also my expectation from CCM, even without waiting for this other things to happen, is can you demonstrate a functional model of comprehensive primary health care enshrined in Health and Wellness Mission, Ayushman Bharat, Ayushman Arogya Mandir? Can we demonstrate here that all the 12 packages can be delivered? I still have to see a place where maximum coverage with quality for comprehensive primary health care, which came up through thought leaders, including Dr. Reddy's vision, and became part of the policy and part of the major flagship program of the Honorable Prime Minister. Can you demonstrate how it happens? What does it take? What are the systems? How can we enrich it further? If it is thin, let's say in mental health, it needs more enrichment. Can this community strengthen that? Ophthalmology, eye care, has not been fully loaded on the Ayushman Arogya Mandirs as of now. Can it be do better? Palliation, elderly care. तो ये मॉडल बनाएं, यहीं बनाएं, ये 30 किलोमीटर्स पे बना के दिखा दीजिए. प्लीज ये मेरी सबमिशन है. My last request before I wind up is to speak for the students, the student community. Student welfare should be at the heart of what we do. Excellence and values go together, but on the value side for an institution, the foremost is the interest of the student community. There are challenges, there always were challenges. There are more challenges today. I don't have to elaborate here. People like me who came without education in English from a remote location, a village convent school, I had my challenges. I coped up with them. I had help. Sometimes I didn't have help. Support the students coming from marginalized communities. In fact, Dr. Srinivasji is leading a national discussion on how to mentor students in higher education coming from marginalized families in a special way, to mentor them, to handhold them, and to get them to complete the courses and to excel. It's an issue by itself. It's a national issue. Here we are doing much better already. There are many, many such systems are operating. I know that. But I would once again urge that we keep thinking about the student. 800 लोग हैं हम, और हमारे ये students भी 800 ही हैं, UG, PG भी मिला के अगर देखें तो, जो जिनको मदद चाहिए, किस तरह से हम उनकी मदद कर सकें. I wish I had seen more students in this room. सोचिए जरा, students were the center of gravity of this institute through its earliest 40 years, perhaps or more. Students are special. PhD scholars are special. Residents are special. उनका welfare, उनका nurture, उनका motivation, उनकी bonding, उनकी energy, उनकी health, इन सबको हमें ख्याल रखना है. ये मेरा last suggestion है. To wind up, I wish to say to all of my colleagues here, from staff, from nursing to students, scientists, faculty, all of us, that we are in the best jobs in this institute. In our sector, there is no other place where you have this much of nurture, this much of resources the nation has made available to us, and this kind of work culture and an ecosystem. ये अभी कहीं नहीं है. अब ये लेके चलिए कि परफेक्शंस नहीं होंगी, क्योंकि जब तक देश उस लेवल पे नहीं पहुंचेगा, हमारे पास कुछ कमी यहाँ, कुछ कमी यहाँ, क्योंकि देश तो बन रहा है ना. अभी हम विकसित भारत तो बन नहीं गए. We are work in motion. Our progress is in motion. In fact, we are the agents who should make this imperfect system in its own ways to a perfect system. These generations will be known, your generation as well, who would have made our system which is perfect. Imperfections होंगी, रोज होंगी, resources की होंगी, और भी होंगी. Let me not go in that direction. But this is where opportunity for our generations is to get the best out of this very system with its all resources. And here we are at a huge advantage compared to anything else in our country. इसी system से डॉक्टर रामलिंग स्वामी ने गॉइटर को खत्म करने के लिए पब्लिक हेल्थ का मॉडल आयोडाइज सॉल्ट का सॉल्ट फोर्टिफिकेशन का दिया. इसी से डॉक्टर रेड्डी ने कार्डियोलॉजी, प्रिवेंटिव कार्डियोलॉजी एंड पब्लिक हेल्थ कार्डियोलॉजी का बदल दिया. इसी सिस्टम से, इसी से, और इससे भी कम रिसोर्सेज पे डॉक्टर M.K. भान ने रोटा वायरस वैक्सीन दिया, और कुछ क्या क्या नहीं दिया. इसी से 20 और चीज़ें निकली हैं, और मैं उसकी लिस्ट नहीं दे रहा हूँ. दैट विल बी अनदर डिस्कशन समडे. डॉक्टर टंडन ने रिसेंटली कंपाइल किए हैं जो कॉन्ट्रीब्यूशंस हुए हैं. इसी सिस्टम ने नेशनल ब्लाइंडनेस कंट्रोल प्रोग्राम दिया, इसी ने ओरल हेल्थ का कार्यक्रम दिया, इसी ने डी एडिक्शन का काम, एवरी विच वे यहीं से हुआ है. प्लीज़ इसको लिए लग जाओ आप. ये चलते रहेंगे. परफेक्ट नहीं है हम. जब देश पूरा बन जाएगा, हमारी ड्यूटी इस जनरेशन की है, बनाने का हमें गॉड गिवन ड्यूटी दी गई है. जब बन जाएगा, उसकी लग्जरी अगली जनरेशन के लिए हम बना रहे हैं. वो ये कह सकते हैं कि मुझे परफेक्ट दो तो मैं करूँगा. अब देश के लिए हम हैं, बाकी लोग हमारे लिए नहीं हैं. अब समझो उल्टा है ये. तो हमें वो बनाना है, इस इंस्टीट्यूट को बनाना है. इस भावना से मैं चाहूँगा कि प्लीज़ जुड़िए. बहुत स्ट्रेसेस पीछे भी आए हैं, बट देयर इज सिंपली नो अदर चॉइस, एंड दैट इज द ग्लोरी दैट अवेट्स अस, दैट वी बिकेम द प्राइम मूवर फॉर द हेल्थ सेक्टर, फॉर एकेडेमिया, फॉर विकसित भारत. हम ही हैं, हमारे पास ही. अगर एक नोबेल प्राइज मिलेगा कभी, क्लिनिकल साइंस वाला, जो ट्रांसलेशन साइंस वाला, प्योर वाला नहीं, वो यहीं से ही बनेगा, और कोई जगह नहीं. एंड वी हैव मोर रिसोर्सेज एंड अदर. ये पक्की बात है, मैं बिल्कुल सीरियसली कह रहा हूँ. एंड वी हैव टू डिलीवर ऑन पब्लिक हेल्थ, एजुकेशन. सभी में एक्सीलेंस की पादानें अभी और पड़ी हुई. प्लीज़, I call for bonding. I call for collective churning of ideas. As you might know, Neeti is trying to give a roadmap for such a vision. We are a catalyst. but I'm an insider as well as outsider. I want us to, our size has grown. We were 120 when I came as a student. Today you are 800. It brings in strength. It also brings in some wobbliness in the system. Complex systems have wobbliness. You heard that. And they are not easy. हम ज़्यादा complex हो गए. Please re-engineer करिए. Leadership जो सुनेंगे इसको शायद को कभी और यहाँ जो बैठे हुए मैं plead कर रहा हूँ थोड़ा different बनिएगा. We are at an inflection point and don't take our glory for granted, although I'm sure we will deliver. And in the end, therefore, I would say that we are in the process of nation building and we have a role building on the previous role, crafted by our role models, crafted our founding leaders, crafted through the will of the parliament because we came out of an act of parliament. It's the people's wish. हम सोसाइटी से लेके बने हैं ये सब कुछ क्या है ये वहीं से तो आया है उन्हीं को वापस देना है ये हमारी जिम्मेवारी है और इसलिए मैं most humbly and with humility I wish to submit that let's pick on this very unique moment where we need a different acceleration, different energy, different bonding, different united action, coalitions, collaborations. For us to rise to the occasion, जैसे the way, जैसे Honorable Prime Minister has said, यही समय है, सही समय है. And I hope that on the sacred day of our foundation day, our institute day, we would consider this suggestion of mine to be worthy of consideration by the leadership and by the AIIMS family to take our institute to the highest level of glory. Abhi uske padan bache hue hain. With these words, and again I am repeating, yahi samay hai, sahi samay hai isko sochne ka aur karne ka. With these words, I thank you for the opportunity. Long live AIIMS. Long live AIIMS with glory like the sun. Continue to produce legends like Dr. Reddy and many more here. Thank you very much. Jai Hind.
Thank you for your inspiring words, sir. We will continue to strive for higher and higher levels of excellence in the trinity of mission of AIIMS.
As we come to the close of today's formal proceedings, may I request Professor Girija Rath to deliver the vote of thanks.
Good afternoon, everyone. Chief guest of today's program, Professor V.K. Paul, Honorable Member, Niti Aayog, Government of India, AIIMS Golden Jubilee Orator and past President, in fact, Founder President of Public Health Foundation of India, PHFI, Professor K.S. Reddy, Director of AIIMS, Professor M. Srinivas, Dean Academics, Professor K.K. Verma, Associate Dean Academics, Professor Rakesh Lodha, distinguished guests, faculty colleagues, employees, residents, students, ladies and gentlemen. It is my privilege to extend vote of thanks on behalf of the AIIMS family for this remarkable occasion of Institute Day. Every year on 25th September, we reaffirm our commitment to the institution's goals on its foundation day. And on this day, we also remember the contribution of our alumni and their various contributions. And it could not be a better day to release the AIIMS Alumni Directory 1956 to 2024 in the presence of two stalwarts alumni themselves on the dais, and there are many more in this hall today. First and foremost, I would like to express my sincere thanks to the chief guest, Professor B.K. Paul, Honorable Member of Niti Aayog, who despite his very busy schedule, honored us with his presence and an inspiring speech. Sir, I was listening to you, sir. We are working on the curriculum, and very soon we will be with that. And I think the MBBS curriculum is left. Rest of the things are ready. So one promise we will fulfill definitely very soon. And thank you, sir. On behalf of the Institute, I would like to thank Professor K.S. Reddy, past president of PHFI and former head of the Department of Cardiology, AIIMS, New Delhi, for delivering the AIIMS Golden Jubilee oration. Thank you, sir, for your presence and encouragement today. I also thank Professor M. Srinivas, the director of AIIMS, for his constant encouragement and guidance, which made today's program possible. I extend my heartfelt thanks to the Dean Academics, Professor K.K. Burma, and Associate Dean Academics, Professor Rakesh Lodha, for always being there to supervise the events we conduct here for the academic section. Yesterday, apart from Professor Burma, Professor C.S. Bal, the Dean Exams, and Professor Nikhil Tandon, the Dean Research, and Professor Sanjay Wadhwa, the head of the Department of PMR, they all evaluated the posters. I think it lasted almost 3 to 3.5 hours. So a very special thanks to all of you, sirs. We also thank the CMAT, various committees, audiovisual team for their efforts in planning and managing the exhibition, technical activities, and cultural programs planned for today's evening. I take the opportunity to acknowledge the contribution of Exhibition Committee, Cultural Events Committee, chaired by the Dr. Kalpana Luthra, I think she is there, and a very big hand to her. The Cafeteria Committee, the Engineering Section, Media and Protocol Division. I want to thank all the staff of Academic Section for their commendable efforts in organizing this event. Every year they organize it. Lastly, I thank all the members of this institution, including the students, faculty, staff of the engineering section, sanitation, security personnel, who contributed maximally to organizing this event. Thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. May I request everyone to please rise for the national anthem?
जन गण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड़ उत्कल बंग विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्छल जलधि तरंग तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे
Thank you, everyone. May I now request the audience to please take their seats while the dignitaries exit the auditorium. Thank you very much. Kindly remain seated, please. Arrangements for refreshments have been made in the multipurpose hall. Faculty members are please requested to proceed to the dining hall after the dignitaries have left. Thank you.